Yaffee program on WVNN.
All right, I saw The Odyssey. Now, part of The Odyssey was my hated eight earlier on when I was on with Dale. I will get to my review later when it comes to The Odyssey. I'll put it this way. A lot of the hate that I've seen, especially today on the movie, a little bit much. But I also think a lot of the praise is a little bit much as well. I mean, Christopher Nolan is good at what he does. But this movie is not as good as, say, The Dark Knight or Inception or The Prestige. There are parts of it that are really good, and there are parts of it that I'm like, it could have done without. And also, it's pretty somber and dark in tone, which means it's not one of those movies I want to, like, watch over and over again. Like, when The Dark Knight came out, I saw it in the theater, I think, 3 times or something. This is not... It's not one of those movies I would go back and see over and over again. Kind of my take. But I'll give a more detailed take later on since everyone's talking about that today. We have a lot of other stuff to get to as well. Here on the Yaffee program on News Talk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. I am Alabama's voice of reason, Huntsville's conservative conscience. I'm going to give you the latest in Iran. We'll have the Alabama bullet points. At the bottom of the hour, we have to talk about another attack against ICE. Another anti-ICE leftist. The rhetoric continues. This was predictable. And in fact, Tom Homan predicted it. Trump's border czar. He said this was going to happen, this kind of stuff. And it is the violence against ICE. So we'll talk about that later on. As I mentioned, I'll give my review of The Odyssey. In the next hour, we'll speak with Victoria Coates, who is a national security foreign policy expert with the Heritage Foundation. Obviously going to talk to her about Iran, but also the latest in Cuba. Cuba is still in the news. They're kind of at the breaking point. So we'll get to that. Bugsy's going to do What's Trending later on in the show. Bugsy, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Yaffee. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, those are very convincing. Great that you're giving me.
I was trying to be very convincing because it's so true.
Okay. There we go. You good for What's Trending later on?
Perfect, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a little scared, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll end the show with the Yaffee program Rewind. We always take your text messages on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. All right. I know Dale talked about this earlier as well, but Tommy Tuberville, who's going to be our next governor, who apparently, because he knows he's going to win now, he knows pretty much nothing's going to stop him. He's taking the Trump approach to things. He's telling you what he thinks. It might be unorthodox sometimes, and he doesn't care. He's like, I'm going to be the governor, and we're going to do things my way. But he also had a comment on Iran. This is what he said. I'm going to read some of this from 1819 News. During a recent call with reporters, U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville addressed the possibility of President Donald Trump deploying ground forces to take Iran's main oil export terminal, Karg Island. Now, it's positioned in the Persian Gulf. The small strip of land measuring about 8 square miles is responsible for processing and handling up to 90% of the country's crude oil exports. There are a lot of things behind the scenes that even us as senators and me, even being on the Armed Services Committee and having classified clearance that we don't know about, but I like what President Donald Trump has done so far. That's what Tuberville said. He said he has had 10 memorandums of understanding, and all 10 of them were broken the next day or so by the Iranians. They don't want peace. They care nothing about that. They hate Americans. They want to kill all of us. They want a nuclear weapon where they can just push one button and wipe us off the map. That was President Trump's number one goal, and it will be his goal in the future. That's what Tuberville said. So he also said, and this is the more controversial take, and I really want to know what you think. Do you agree with Tuberville here? Maybe we do need some ground troops. I'm not sure that's necessary. I'll tell you why in a moment. But Tuberville said Karg Island is the port where they send all their oil. I think eventually President Trump either is going to destroy it or take it over. It is out on a body of water. It's not on land next to Iran. So putting boots there would probably help in the long run if we don't want to completely destroy it. But again, let's leave that up to the president to see what he decides to do. Now, if you ask Trump, he's going to say all options are on the table. That's going to be his response. And that should be his response. If you're talking about our enemies and we're at war with an enemy, they need to believe that this option's on the table. And maybe that's what Tuberville's getting at. Even if the American people don't want boots on the ground, even if most people don't think it's actually going to happen, even if President Trump is not for it, we need the Iranians to believe he's for it. We need to send a message to them that he's for it. But my question for you is, are you for it? Yesterday, I had a question where I was basically like, are you all in or all out? Are we all in when we're going to do what's necessary to cripple the regime, take back the strait, and finish the job? Or are you all out, where we say we accomplished our goal, they can't build a nuclear weapon anytime soon, so we're just going to get out. We don't need to be there anymore. I honestly think getting out is a much better option than the middle ground we were playing here, this sort of weird limbo phase we were in. But I also think we can finish the job. I think the military is capable of at least forcing the strait open, which takes away their main point of leverage. But there have been issues there as well. So according to CBS News, it says what we know about the Iran war right now. Iran said it targeted U.S. assets in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan Tuesday, and a vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. That's after the U.S. military said it carried out a 10th consecutive night of strikes against Iranian military infrastructure. There was no immediate confirmation of any U.S. bases in the region being hit Tuesday. As you know, the U.S. military named an American soldier who was killed in Iraq. This was during a controlled detonation of an Iranian drone over the weekend. The Pentagon previously identified 2 U.S. soldiers killed in an Iranian attack on the air base in Jordan. Nearly 100 American service members had been injured in some of these strikes. And apparently Iran was successful at attacking an oil tanker, which is why you see oil prices going up again, which is a problem. Now, a lot of this has caused the Democrats to come out and once again say, we need to get out. They just don't have any credibility, right? They basically said this was a lost on day one, the Democrat Party. So now it's like, I can't take it. No matter what the situation is in Iran, they're just going to come out and say it was a failure. So I don't know how they could have any credibility. If they would have been more reasonable in the beginning, maybe they would have credibility now on getting out. But go ahead, Bugsy, if you can. Can you play the Chuck Schumer cut? This is the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, on this.
This carnage is the bitter fruit of Trump's labor in Iran. Every second Trump prolongs his war is another second the lives of our men and women in uniform are in danger. Trump needs to stop this catastrophe and bring our troops home. And Senate Republicans can't let him off the hook until he does.
Yeah, and I was mentioning just a second ago, I'll give you some of the details here now. Iran attacked a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz, forcing the crew to abandon ship. So the UK Navy Maritime Trade Operations Center said a tanker came under attack early Tuesday in the strait off the coast of Oman, adding the crew have abandoned the vessel and are currently embarked in a lifeboat. Now, apparently the IRGC claimed the attack as well as 2 other attacks on ships in the narrow waterway on Monday, so they're taking credit for it. President Trump and the U.S. military have encouraged commercial ships to use southern shipping lanes through the strait that skirts Oman's coast to avoid the more northerly passage under Iran's control right now. But Iran's not stopping them from attacking. So what happens next here? If we're not going to take Karg Island, are we going to destroy it? If we're not going to destroy it, what is the next step? So someone had some pretty good takes on this. I played a lot of cuts of him recently because I think he's a pretty good voice of reason on a lot of this. Is retired General Jack Keane. He's been on Fox a lot discussing this, and I wanted to play some more cuts of him as he talked about it yesterday. Go on and play a Jack Keane cut 1 for me, Bugsy.
From their perspective, they see this as a strategic asset. It gives them leverage. Their nuclear enterprise, obviously, the pursuit of it has always given them leverage, but most of it is under a mountain of rubble. And this is what gives them leverage currently over the Gulf states, distribution of oil in the region, and they're unlikely to give it up. And that is why we're fighting the Battle of Hormuz right now. So some of these targets were in that target list, to be sure. But the target list goes way beyond the Straits of Hormuz in terms of leadership, IRGC organization, national infrastructure, beyond the bridges we're talking about here, Karg Island, distribution of oil itself and energy. So that is a much more comprehensive target list. The mission the commanders have here is to complete this mission, open up the Straits of Hormuz, and isolate Iran as much as possible, and use this to bend them to our will.
I mean, that would be good. He said he was skeptical that we could actually use this to bend them to our will. But I do think the main objective right now should be to make the Strait of Hormuz safe again, for lack of a better way to put it. Make it safe again. Make it great again. I don't know what you want to say. But take over. Force the reopening of the strait. Now, he had some more takes on what we need to do in the future. We'll probably get to that later on in the show. But I want to know what you think. All in, all out? Does all in include what Tuberville said? Maybe we put troops on the ground in Karg Island. Maybe we let Israel do it. I don't know. We could let them do it. Or, I mean, honestly, some of the other Arab countries should step up. Now, I've heard some other people as well say we need to arm some of the Iranian people, some of the resistance, so they can take back their government. Maybe that's the option. It would be nice to get some real leadership from Trump on this. Instead of doing speeches about the 2020 election, maybe he should do a speech on this. I'm just saying, if I could give him advice, that's what I would say. If you want to weigh in, you can. We have the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNM. One person weighed in and said, Karg Island is an ideal location for a new U.S. territory. Without Karg Island, Iran loses most of its leverage in the strait. Let's colonize the island and give libtards something to cry about. Okay, there you go. So if you have a take, you can weigh in as well on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. When we get back, we'll have the Alabama headlines. Much more to get to on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
The Yaffee program.
We're back here on the Yaffee program. This is News Talk 770 AM. 92.5 FM WVNN. We talk faith, culture, and politics Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. We also have to talk about how do we get to a point where people want to keep attacking ICE? Not only is it the rhetoric on ICE from the left, but it really goes beyond that. You can relate it to what the reaction to Iran, some other stuff as well. I'll get into that at the bottom of the hour. Also, later I'll have my review of the Odyssey. So that'll be fun. Right now, though, let's get to the headlines. We have those Alabama bullet points.
Alabama bullet points. Today's headlines from around the Yellowhammer State.
Sponsored by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. Number 4 today, State Representative Blackshear says gambling legislation is needed to regulate the prediction markets. Says it's a conversation we have to have. I wrote about this at YellowhammerNews.com. Alabama State Representative Chris Blackshear out of Phoenix City stated that lawmakers must soon address gambling legislation to regulate emerging activities like prediction markets, platforms such as Kalshi. So we talked about yesterday how he's predicting that it's going to come in the future, that we're going to have a debate on gambling, but now he's specifically talking about what's going on with those prediction markets. He argued that ignoring the issue is no longer viable as various forms of quasi-legal or illegal gaming are expanding, while tribal gaming remains off limits. He highlighted the need for control parameters, potential tax revenue to support state budgets amid tightening finances. I'm never usually a fan of, they're doing it illegally, so we have to legalize it, but there you go. Number 3 today, the legislature is expected to look at police staffing bill in 2027, despite pushback from Montgomery Mayor Stephen Reed. So I had talked about this with Rex Reynolds last week. He was someone who put up kind of a different version of the bill, the staffing bill, but the Alabama legislature is expected to revisit a bill setting minimum police staffing requirements for Class 3 municipal law enforcement agencies. They want to do this probably in the 2027 session, despite the measure failing earlier this year due to wording issues and other issues. State Representative Rex Reynolds said the topic will remain a priority amid rising violent crime in some major cities like Montgomery. They just have to refine the language. But as I mentioned yesterday, Montgomery Mayor Stephen Reed continues to oppose the legislation as an unnecessary state overreach and power grab that undermines local control, arguing instead for recruiting high-quality officers equipped to handle diverse situations or whatever. Number 2 today, Congressman Palmer and Adderholt are backing a bill limiting DAR membership to biological women. It says you have to be a daughter. This is the Daughters of the American Revolution. That's what DAR stands for. So U.S. Representatives Gary Palmer and Robert Adderholt are co-sponsoring a House bill that would limit membership in the Daughters of the American Revolution to biological women who meet the organization's ancestry requirements. Now, the Daughters of the American Revolution Membership Integrity Act, which was introduced by Representative Ben Cline, would amend the group's federal charter to explicitly restrict membership to women satisfying its existing genealogical qualifications. Now, Palmer stated that it should be common sense that to be a part of the organization, you have to be a daughter, which, yeah, he's right. Arguing the measure protects the organization's integrity and historic purpose as a women's patriotic service group founded in 1890. So we'll see what happens with that bill. Number 1 today, Senator Tommy Tuberville was talking about this in the last segment. Says boots on the ground at Iran's Karg Island could spare major oil export terminal from destruction. So U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville suggested during a recent call with reporters that deploying ground forces to Iran's Karg Island could allow the U.S. to seize its critical oil export terminal rather than just destroy it. Now, the small island in the Persian Gulf handles up to 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. Tuberville praised President Trump's approach to Iran, noting repeated broken agreements and Iran's hostility, while framing control of the island as a strategic option to deny Iran oil revenue without total destruction. He emphasized that the decision rests with the president, and he's also praying for the service members' families who had been killed so far in this war. 17 American service members have died, 430 have been injured. So we'll see. I've been asking you the question. I'm curious your take. Weigh in on the Yaffee text line. Do you think that's what we should do? Occupy Karg Island, put boots on the ground, take it over, or maybe we just destroy it? Or maybe neither. Maybe we don't have to do either to take over the Strait of Hormuz. But I'm curious what you think. If you were president, what would you decide today? Let me know on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. A smart decision, though, if you're looking for maybe some new jewelry, maybe for yourself, maybe for your wife, maybe for your mom, your loved ones. The best place to go, the good decision would be to go to Larry's Pistol and Pond. They're located in Madison off Greenbrier Exit 3. It's next to the big Rusty Water Tower out 565. I'm sure you've seen it. It's an 18,000 square foot facility. You walk in, you go to the right of the store, and you just see all the different displays of the best jewelry for the best prices. So if you're looking for a new necklace, maybe some earrings, or maybe you want to get engaged, so you need a diamond ring, they have all of that and much, much more. Antique jewelry, permanent jewelry as well. So check it out. Go to Larry's Pistol and Pond in Madison. It's the best place to shop for it. As I said, they have same as cash financing options and much, much more, and they can resize it and everything for you as well. They're going to find what you need for you. Great customer service. Go to pistolandpond.com as well, pistolandpond.com. Let them know you heard about it from Yaffee.
It's the Yaffee Program on WVNN.
Jim Rome takes on sports.
I will always have a complicated relationship with this game, but people evolve. So do sports. Do not make me regret this. Do not make me devolve back to that guy that so many clones wish that I still was. And do not embarrass the entire country. Now, I can go back. I can get there fast. Lose tonight, and you got a real problem. Do not blow it.
The Jim Rome Show podcast.
You've been warned.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVMN. We're back here on the Yaffee program. I'm Alabama's voice of reason in a world that, yes, is sometimes beyond reason. What's the issue that we have right now? The biggest issue when you're talking about the radical left and, frankly, some on the extreme right as well. What is the core problem that causes things like violence against ICE agents, voting for radical Islamists into Congress, and all of this other nonsense where you want open borders, for instance, tear down the family, can't support Trump and Iran, can't support our troops overseas, you hate Israel. What causes that, really? What's the core here? Well, the core problem is that they believe America is the problem. When you're talking about the radical left and some of the extreme right, you'll notice a theme. The theme is always that America, as it is now, when you're talking about our constitutional system, our government, our presence in the world, our economy, you'll notice a theme. I'm talking about the Hassan Pikers and the Tucker Carlsons of the world. The theme is that they believe that America is the problem in the world. And when you have that belief, everything else stems from it. So if America is the cause of all of our problems, well, then, of course, you're not going to want to protect our borders. It's our fault that they have issues in their other country. We should just let them in. It's our fault. Oh, ICE, they're just Gestapo for our evil government. Oh, well, Iran, yeah, they're an evil Islamist regime, but that's because of American imperialism. Oh, Israel, oh, the Palestinians, Hamas, they commit genocide on October 7th. Yeah, but that's Israel's fault. See the theme? That's the theme. So that's how you get to a point. If you really believe that, and you believe right now Trump's at the center of all of it, then of course you're going to want to commit violence against ICE agents. Now, one of the main reasons that I bring this up is we had the incident in New York yesterday. I'll read some of this from the National Review. Andrew McCarthy there says law enforcement agencies have identified the suspect in the attack on the federal building in Lower Manhattan. His name is Andrew John Harabica. He's an Army veteran who lives in New York. Although no charges have yet been filed, the FBI held a press conference during which a top bureau official described him as an anti-ICE activist, elaborating that in carrying out the attack, he used a cart that was carrying anti-ICE literature. And being placed under arrest, moreover, he is said to have yelled terms derogatory to ICE. That's what they say. And it seems that there is video of that. And the cart, the so-called cart that he had, bore the message, ICE off our streets. Now, ICE and the Homeland Security Department's Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency is principally responsible for carrying out the Trump administration's aggressive immigration enforcement. There are photos of the suspect wearing a helmet. By the way, I don't know if you all saw the video. The fire, they say he had an incendiary device attack the building. The fire, it could have been worse. That was a pretty big fire that he lit there. They stopped it pretty quickly, which is good. But, even before this happened, on Sunday, Tom Homan, who is Trump's border czar, he was actually talking about how ICE has killed a couple of people recently and there are protests over that. And he was mentioning the real problem is we have created a narrative now where we basically tell people that ICE is not a legitimate law enforcement agency. And he predicted more stuff like this would probably happen. Go ahead if you can, or Bugsy. Walker's not here today. Bugsy, play a cut one of Tom Homan for me.
My concern is, I've done this since 1984. My concern is I think a lot of the rhetoric that you see every day, especially in sanctuary cities and at these protests that resist. Members of Congress saying ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. I actually think that emboldens some people to say, I'm not going to comply with ICE. And I think no matter what people think of ICE, no matter what you think of the immigration law, you should always comply with law enforcement.
All right, so there he was talking about the extreme rhetoric. He has said before that he thinks violence is going to go on. That was before the violence we saw yesterday. And his prediction just keeps coming true. Now, after the incident yesterday in New York, Tom Homan was on Newsmax talking about it, and he said, look, unfortunately, this kind of nonsense is going to continue. Play cut 2 of Tom Homan.
Well, look, it's just another example of some idiot that believes the left's talking points. I'm sure if you ask him why he did it, he's going to repeat the talking points you hear Democratic members of Congress say, that sanctuary city mayors like Mondami and Governor Hochul say. ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. ICE are fascists. ICE needs to be abolished. I see signs all the day at protests, resist ICE. So look, their talking points are making an impact. For that small percentage of really crazy people, they empower them to do something stupid because they believe the left's talking points. So this is not going to stop. I've said it for over a year.
Yeah.
The hateful rhetoric is going to end in bloodshed, and it has.
Yeah.
More than I thought, and it's not over yet. More will happen unless these people shut their mouth and let ICE enforce the laws that they enacted.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but he's correct. Look, if you disagree with Trump's immigration policy, okay, fine. Go to Congress, say you disagree, say we need to change the law, say you will, run a campaign on that. But they can't just do that, can they? And I'm not even just talking about some of these Democratic socialists. I'll play a cut of one in a moment. But you have even Chuck Schumer. He's supposed to be sort of the mainstream Democrat leader. Hakeem Jeffries, he wants to be Speaker of the House. They're coming out there and they're saying this kind of rhetoric. They're saying ICE is basically Trump's militia. They're saying ICE is terrorizing communities. They put out the narrative that ICE isn't legitimate law enforcement. It's not just the radicals in the party. It's the base of the party and the leadership of the party that's saying that. When you have that over and over again, yes, it's going to spill over into this. And they just can't help themselves. They can't be a little bit more responsible. I know that in this country, we're not going to all agree on immigration policy or whatever. I get it. But this idea that you're just going to come out and say things like that, oh, but, it's a tragedy. What did you expect? What did you expect? Now, it gets even worse than that, though. And I want to go back to my theme that I started this segment with, that, they just want to blame America for all of the world's problems. And how does that kind of relate to this issue? Well, the radical candidate who's running for Senate in Michigan, his name's Abdul El Sayed. He was on CNN's State of the Union over the weekend, and he was asked about, was at least Biden's immigration policy, was that kind of a failure? It's interesting what he says here. So play the El Sayed cut for me, Bugsy.
Do you have any criticisms of the Biden immigration policy?
I think we could have done much better. I believe in a safe and secure border, full stop. I also believe that we have to be smart about the fact that right now, ICE is being used to terrorize people on our streets. We talk about 2 more deaths in the last 2 weeks alone. At the edge of a force that should not exist, we can have immigration policy that is smart, that keeps our southern border safe, that enforces our immigration laws, but not in a way that tears apart the Constitution itself. So yes, I think we could have done a better job. I think it's important for us to be smart. Now, I just want to push back on one thing. You've got this administration. They're making a show out of ICE enforcement. And at the same time, they're making it fundamentally unlivable for people south of our southern border. How does that make sense at all? This whole point of the Trump administration is to weaponize immigration against the Constitution itself. And I think the more we're willing to talk about that, the further we go in actually getting to an immigration policy that makes sense in this country.
Oh, you notice what he said there at the end? Not only is our immigration policy bad, but problems in Mexico and South America where people want to come into this country, that's Trump's fault. That's his fault too. It's America's fault. They don't want to come here because America screwed up the rest of the world, you see. So we hear that on this issue. We hear that on Iran as well. Well, yeah, in Israel. Well, yeah, there are problems. Iran's a crazy regime, but that's America's fault too. And I always want to push back against that narrative because, it's a fundamental question. What do you think the world would be like if America didn't exist? And that's a serious question. Are we honestly going to pretend that the Middle East, that these countries, these areas in the Middle East were utopias before the United States of America existed? Are we going to pretend that South America, that Central America, that Mexico, that these places were utopias, and they would be utopias today if it were not for the United States existing? We never ask that question, do we? America has done a lot of good, more good in the world than bad. And imagine the world without America. Yet the narrative from them is always, no, America's caused all the problems. Take a step back. Imagine a world without the U.S. Do you honestly think it would be a better place? All these regions in the world that are having problems, do you think they would just be perfect now if America wasn't around? It's stupid to think that. It's absurd. But they do. Now, Tom Homan had another cut when it came to ICE and what happened there. Going to play Tom Homan cut 2.
Well, look, it's just another example of some idiot that believes the left's talking points. I'm sure if you ask him why he did it, he's going to repeat the talking points you hear.
Cut 3, that was my fault, Bugsy. Skip to cut 3, I'm sorry.
Right. And look, I'm glad they're self-deporting. Do I think they're all going to self-deport? No. It's just smarter to self-deport. Can you get your arrangements together, get all your stuff together, and plan your departure? Because if you don't, we're going to show up and we're going to deport you on our terms. So I'm glad they're self-deporting because, the Supreme Court made a ruling. The president made it clear we're going to, enforce immigration law in this country. And so I hope this continues, but I don't think it will. So we're going to have to go out there and look for these people that don't want to be found and make sure they leave this country.
All right, if you want to weigh in, you can. We have the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. The more that they put out that rhetoric that ICE is not real law enforcement, and the more and more they blame America for the world's problem, the more we're going to see of this kind of violence, unfortunately. 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. I am going to do a review of The Odyssey. I saw the movie yesterday. I saw it on IMAX. Give you my thoughts. I mean, I've seen a lot of different takes on it for sure. Right now, I need to give you my thoughts, though, on my good friends at Jay's Appliance Outlet. Right now they have smart washers and dryers that are available for you on sale for a great price. So you can discover the latest from Amana, Maytag, Electrolux, and more. All at Jay's Appliance Outlet. So if you're looking for the top of the line smart washer or dryer, you can upgrade your laundry space right now by going to Jay's Appliance Outlet. Explore the newest models. Find the perfect fit for your home. You always can at Jay's Appliance Outlet, located up there in 72 near Athens. You can see the sign outside. It says up to 60% off new appliances because that's what they offer. Or go to the website, jaysapplianceoutlet.com. You can give them a call right now. They're family-owned and operated, so you're going to talk to a real person that really wants to help you. Great customer service. So dial pound 250, say the keywords Jay's Appliance Outlet. And when you do, let them know you heard about it from Yaffee. We'll be back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. Here on Newstalk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. Doing my part to make radio great again. Some other people on this station ruin it before me, and then I make it great again. That's how it goes. By the way, I want you to text in. Let me know if you've seen The Odyssey. There are some controversial takes out there. Give you kind of an example. Some conservatives didn't like it in the beginning because they hired Elliot Page, formerly Ellen Page, to play a man, even though it's a woman. All of that stuff. There were some other examples as well. The person they hired to be Helen of Troy. I saw Matt Walsh finally give his take today. He just trashes the movie. He hates every bit of it, which is actually kind of funny. This is my general take. I saw it yesterday in IMAX. Pretty funny to actually see people cosplay for The Odyssey. Usually you see cosplaying for like comic book movies and stuff. There are people in the theater cosplaying for The Odyssey, wearing like togas and stuff, which was, okay. But my general take on it for you. The best parts of the movie are what I think Christopher Nolan does best in most of his movies. The special effects are amazing, first and foremost. Everything in this movie feels real. You watch a lot of movies now, and things feel fake because of the CGI. Even though CGI has gotten way better, it still, feels like a cartoon when I saw that Superman movie. That was my thought. I'm like, it almost felt like I was watching a cartoon. You don't get that here. You really feel like you're there. Everything is done in camera. Obviously, they had to use special effects and CGI for some parts, but they limited it and they used as much real sets, real props as possible. And it really does make a difference. So cinematography is really good in that regard. I also thought the score was good. There are parts where it was very loud. Part of that's because I saw it in IMAX, and IMAX is always loud. But some of that, Christopher Nolan has a tendency to do that with the score sometimes. But for the most part, I thought it sounded pretty good. I actually thought the acting was good. Like I said, I had some problems with the casting too, mostly the Elliot Page thing. But like Tom Holland was good, and Matt Damon was good, and Hathaway was good. I mean, they know how to do their roles. They know how to act. Some people are complaining about the interpretation of the story because basically in this one, Odysseus is a man with PTSD and guilt and regret in a lot of ways for what he did. And some people didn't like that aspect of the story. I thought it was an interesting take, honestly. I could imagine that if you're in a brutal war like that, it's going to affect you. And the way they won the war and the purpose of the war was kind of, it's understandable why you might have some regret. I mean, they basically had to lie to get in. So a major theme of the movie is sort of compassion versus greed, allowing your greed to take over where you break what they call Zeus's law, which is really borrowed from the Bible, which is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. They just call it Zeus's law in this movie. And then by doing the Trojan horse thing, they kind of break that law. So that's one theme. That's a major theme. Some people didn't like that because it's a little bit different than the original theme of the original story. I don't necessarily mind when movies like change interpretations like that. I mean, there have been so many different ways to look at the Odyssey. It's 3,000 years old, this poem. So that doesn't bother me as much as it did other people. I will say it is very somber and dark in tone, which makes for a cinematic experience, but it's not something, because it's kind of dark and somber, it's not something I want to rewatch a lot. You kind of watch it once and you're like, okay, I got to take that in for a while. Where some of the other Christopher Nolan movies are they're more entertaining on its face. They're just because it's not quite so dark. You watch Prestige, for instance. It's just, you could watch that movie over and over, and it's just a great movie. Now, the problems I have with the movie, though, I have to admit, one is the length. It's too long. And sometimes you can do a movie that's long and it's fine. You don't feel like it's dragging. There were parts of this movie that really felt like it was dragging. And I saw even Matt Walsh say he has a tendency to make a movie feel too fast and too long at the same time. And that goes to my other complaint, and this is something not just Christopher Nolan, but a lot of modern directors do. The fast editing. Like in the scene where they're fighting the giants. They edit it so fast, and it's meant to be a little disorienting, but you almost can't tell what's happening. You want to actually let the scene breathe and see some of the fighting so you can really get the perspective of them trying to fight a giant. But so much of that is edited so fast that you don't get a chance to actually process what you're looking at. And that's frustrating. Same with the Cyclops scene. Like you kind of, there are parts where you really want to look at it and you can't because things are just edited so fast. And that kind of bothers me. I wish so many modern movies do that, and I wish we would let scenes breathe a little bit. But of course, my main complaint is the fact that Elliot Page was in the movie. I'm sorry. It's not like she's in the movie too long, but it is kind of a central character, and it just takes you out of it because it's a woman. You can't, it's not convincing that it's a man. We can all just tell it's a woman. You're trying to just tell me this woman's a man. The other thing is, it's weird to see like modern actors like have their modern accents in this epic play. Like it just kind of like someone sounds like they're from Brooklyn or something, but they're supposed to be in ancient Greece. It's kind of weird. I have to admit, kind of throws you off. So I think it's good. I don't think it's as bad as some people thought. I also don't think it's like Nolan's best work. But in terms of the actual special effects and cinematography, I mean, Nolan does a good job with that. So you can tell me your take on the Yaffee text line. We're going to talk with Mike Jernigan next. He's with the Heritage Foundation. We'll talk about Iran and more here on the Yaffee program.
The Yaffee program.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
I'm your host, Megan Klingenberg. One thing I promised you is an all-access pass that you wouldn't get on any other show. And we found out that whoever comes on scores a goal. Burhope, Freeman, Trusty. U.S. Soccer Podcast magic is real, people. We still got plenty of coverage all throughout this World Cup. Okay, let's get into it.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast, presented by Henkel. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
The Yaffee program on WVNN.
We're back on the Yaffee program, second hour of the show, Tuesday edition of the show on Newstalk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Glad you have joined today. It's a revolution in common sense, and of course, if you missed any of the show live, well, the podcast will be up on the website, WVNN.com, or subscribe anywhere you listen to your podcasts. So the Wall Street Journal has their exclusive on this today. It says Israel believes that Iran moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain. So the U.S. has reviewed the Israeli assessment, and President Trump has threatened to attack the site. So are we going to attack Pickaxe Mountain, where there might be more nuclear material there? We have to talk about the latest in Iran as well. So joining me on the show right now is a national security and foreign policy expert with the Heritage Foundation. Mike Jernigan is on the show. Mike, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, good morning, Yaffee. Thanks for having me.
So yeah, first, what's your reaction to the fact that maybe Iran moved some of their nuclear material into Pickaxe Mountain?
You know, my reaction's in two parts. First of all, I'm not surprised. You know, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to build a nuclear weapon, and so they're trying to keep all the material from getting destroyed. We're in our 10th consecutive day of strikes after, a ceasefire that President Trump called for the convenience of Iran to negotiate to get rid of this same material. So no, it doesn't surprise me they're moving it around and trying to hide it. But the other part of that answer is that's also not surprising the U.S. military. We have pretty good intel, we have pretty good observation, and we have pretty good military planners. And so all of the avenues that they have to store their material, Pickaxe Mountain is one of them. The Karun nuclear facility is another. So believe me, all of these are on target lists. And in the last 10 days of strikes, you've seen some significant bridges and railway lines be destroyed. And some of those are coming out of key ports of Bandar Abbas and Chabahar, so they can't get resupply in and out. But I would not be surprised if some of those key bridges were also around Pickaxe Mountain or other locations as they try to move their material around.
And you talked about some of the latest strikes. I mean, is the goal here really to keep the Strait of Hormuz open and prevent Iran from being able to attack ships on there? I mean, we've done a lot of damage, but they're still able, using drones, other technology, to attack some ships there. I mean, is there a way of preventing them from doing that?
Yeah, the goal remains to, as when this war started, to prevent the Iranians from ever getting a nuclear weapon. And then the Iranians brought into the control of the Strait. They're the ones that said the Strait is closed after, the strikes all started originally, in March. And so now, yeah, the goal is to keep the Straits open, but also to prevent the Iranians from ever getting a nuclear weapon. But now the goal is also now, as your listeners will remember, wars quit, wars stop when one or both sides decide they don't want to fight or one side cannot fight. And so what the United States is doing in this military campaign right now, it is working to both of those objectives. It's making sure that Iran cannot fight. And to your point, that'll be a long-term thing because Iran is twice the size of Texas. That's a lot of places to hide missiles and drone factories. And then they're also giving the opportunity for the Iranians to decide that they don't want to fight anymore. By striking some of these same bridges and railway lines and ports, this is an increasing economic disaster for Iran. And so at some point, they're going to say, just stop. We just don't want to do this anymore. And where it hurts so much economically and militarily that we're willing to give up our nuclear weapon aspirations and stop shooting, ships in the Gulf. Just today, a Kuwaiti ship was struck by an Iranian drone and caught on fire. And so Iran is indiscriminate in who they're attacking, and they're attacking all their neighbors around them. And so we're in the next phase of the military campaign, and I think we're going to see it start accelerating.
So can we accomplish all of these goals, though, without boots on the ground? Do you think it's possible?
There's all kinds of military options available to the president, and boots on the ground is one of those. And I have worn a pair of those boots on the ground in difficult places, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Cuba, so anytime we talk about putting boots on the grounds, those are guys that look a lot like me, and we're okay with that. That's what we signed up for. That's what America's military does. And I remind the listeners that there are still 2 Marine Expeditionary Units, about 5,000 Marines, based on ship in the area. And they literally made their reputation as Marines in World War II taking islands. But that's only one of 22 missions that the Marine Expeditionary Units are qualified to do. Additionally, we have thousands of soldiers from the 82nd Airborne in the area. And on a plane ride, they can get anywhere in the country and seize important things to the Iranian government. Now, the question is, will the president do that? Yeah, that's an option, and that is another escalation. There's a whole ramp of escalations that the president can do in the military operations. And with boots on the ground, they don't have to be, indefinite. We can do amphibious raids where we launch, by helo and landing craft from the ships, from the sea, move in, strike something, destroy something, seize something, and then we can evacuate out all in the space of a night or a couple of days. Or they can land and make a major amphibious landing and extend it. So there's capabilities in the amphibious attack specifically, also the airborne attack, but there's capabilities that the president has that you can ramp up the level of response in boots on the ground. They can be boots on the ground for 12 hours. They can be boots on the ground for any length of time after that. And so those are the things that the president and the Secretary of the War and his advisors are working through, because Iran is trying to extend the conflict, to widen the conflict so that more people, get angry at the United States, so that the United States decides that it wants to quit. And so the Iranians, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Speaking with Mike Jernigan, he's with the Heritage Foundation. So, yeah, you had mentioned, I guess, different options if we have boots on the ground. And I think you're correct that Trump's going to want everything on the table. If you ask him, he says, well, that's always on the table because you want your enemy, even if we don't ever want to put boots on the ground, you want at least the enemy to believe that we will. But you had mentioned it could be raids. I'm guessing that would possibly be to get some nuclear material if we had to. But there has been some suggestion that maybe we should just occupy Karg Island. I mean, would that be a smart move, or should we just destroy it, or what do you think?
Karg Island is really kind of it's a critical vulnerability for the Iranians because 90% of their export oil goes through the processing facilities aboard Karg Island. And you have made a great distinction that we can take it. We physically can. And we also can destroy things on that island, and we don't have to take it. And we can physically break things so the Iranians can't use it. So that's just one example of a type of flexibility. The reason that the United States could perhaps take Karg Island is if we wanted to have something to negotiate back with them so that to end the war, we'll give you back this and this and this that we took and captured from you. However, we have 5 months and 47 years of the Iranians demonstrating that they don't really have a willingness to negotiate in good faith. So, yes, taking Karg Island, it is tactically and militarily possible and strategically perhaps valuable. But if the purpose is to take it to be able to give something back in the negotiations, but the negotiations, Iran has already shown that they don't respond to the carrot and stick approach. And so right now I think they're going to get the hammer and stick approach.
I like that, the hammer and stick approach. Yeah, from my understanding, there are still some negotiations going on. Iran, they're trying to mediate this through Pakistan. They want to negotiate apparently, but I don't know how we could ever trust them. I mean, how do you trust a negotiation with them at this point? They've already proven themselves that they can't be trusted, so to speak.
Absolutely. So any type of resolution to this conflict and any type of going forward with Iran's ability to produce nuclear weapon material and their ability to strike into the Straits of Hormuz, all of that is going to have to come with accountability. And that accountability, in my opinion, needs to come in several forms. First off, you need to have the international agencies responsible for these kinds of communications and inspections, like the International Atomic Energy Commission, needs to be allowed access go to Iranians' nuclear facilities of all types at any time, unannounced and scheduled, and they need to be able to inspect and report the results. And Iran, it would be beneficial if they let in foreign journalists. Let's bring in our teammates from around the world who report for various outlets and let them use with their eyes and their ears and their questions, see what's really going on. So anything, you're absolutely right, Yaffee. Anything that Iran agrees to is going to have to be held to a rigorous standard of accountability and checks.
Speaking with Mike Jernigan, he's with the Heritage Foundation. Do you think it's time to maybe arm some of the Iranian resistance, some of the people there, to take over the regime?
I think that's an interesting question, and that is probably an option better actually not discussed. There's all kinds of plans I would expect and all kinds of things, and we welcome any Iranian efforts to say we want a new government, and America has been known to support those in the past. On this one, we're in no way interested in making Iran, the 51st state. We're in no way interested in occupying Iran and having an extended war. We are interested in protecting the safety of Americans at home and abroad. We are interested in protecting, our friends, the Israelis. There are still children yesterday in elementary schools in Iran that they start their day like Americans start with Pledge of Allegiance. The Iranian children are still learning to chant death to America, death to Israel. So that country and that personality, yes, maybe there would be an uprising to change the government, but I think that needs to come from other sources. And it can, because the Iranians have irritated all of their neighbors in the region. The Saudis are angry at them and shot an Iranian airplane trying to land to resupply the Houthis at a Yemen airfield. And so there may be others who are also interested in helping Iran decide to turn away from its bad behavior. And if that means arming the civilians, there may be other agencies and countries who are interested in doing that.
Mike Jernigan, he is with the Heritage Foundation, national security foreign policy expert. You can read all his stuff at heritage.org. Mike, really appreciate you coming on. My friend, we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, Yaffee, have a great morning and enjoy some good Alabama barbecue for me.
Okay, I will do that. I have a job now. Let's go get some barbecue. If you want to weigh in, if you have a reaction to that interview, you can. 866-494-9866. That is the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. We'll be back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
All right, we're back here on the Yaffee program. This is News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. You know who I am. You know how the show works. You know where to find the podcast if you miss it, because I know you listen all the time, or you can like the Yaffee Facebook page. If you missed my review of the Odyssey, well, I posted it on my X page, my Facebook page, on Instagram as well. So go check it out. And it's spelled Yaffee. I always forget. Sometimes I have to spell it because people still think it's Yappy, or they know it's Yaffee, but they still don't know how to spell it, which I don't blame you. I mean, do you know any other Yaffies? Probably not. So we were talking about Iran in the last segment. I wanted to get to these other cuts of General Jack Keane, retired U.S. general. He's a Fox News analyst. He's been a really good voice of reason on all of this. At least I think so. Maybe you disagree. But go ahead. We'll go back to the first cut of him. So play a Jack Keane cut 1 for me, Bugsy.
From their perspective, they see this as a strategic asset. It gives them leverage. Their nuclear enterprise, obviously, the pursuit of it has always given them leverage, but most of it is under a mountain of rubble. And this is what gives them leverage currently over the Gulf states, distribution of oil in the region, and they're unlikely to give it up. And that is why we're fighting the Battle of Hormuz right now. So some of these targets were in that target list, to be sure. But the target list goes way beyond the Straits of Hormuz in terms of leadership, IRGC organization, national infrastructure, beyond the bridges we're talking about here, Karg Island, distribution of oil itself and energy. So that is a much more comprehensive target list. The mission the commanders have here is to complete this mission, open up the Straits of Hormuz, and isolate Iran as much as possible, and use this to bend them to our will.
Can that work, though? Can we use it to bend them to our will? He was actually skeptical. I'm guessing he believes we need to force regime change somehow, but through the Iranian people, not through, like, boots on the ground. Play a cut 2 of Jack Keane.
They're saying whatever they think we want to hear. And why are they saying it? Because they want one thing from us, and they got it on April the 7th. That is to stop the war, stop shooting at them. That's what they want, and they'll say whatever it takes, I think, to get that. And they will want to hold on to the Straits of Hormuz because it's such a key strategic asset for them. I think they're willing to fight us over it. And they'll go to a ceasefire to stop us taking control of it. But eventually, they will not give up control of this. I think the path we're on that the president has selected is the correct one. Let's finish it.
So the question is, what does finish it look like? He's right. I mean, you talk about negotiations. They've already proven that out. They're willing to say whatever they want. This is also proof why the Obama nuke deal was so bad. Because they have now proven themselves that they're not really going to agree to anything. They're going to lie about it. They're going to undermine us and all of that stuff. They've proven that out now. Play cut 3 of Jack Keane.
Is I believe the president should be presented a combined plan developed by the Mossad and the CIA that does two essential things.
Yes.
One, it undermines the regime itself in terms of breaking that apart, breaking down trust in each other, buying people's loyalty and disloyalty to the regime. There's all sorts of things that the CIA and Mossad know how to do here to strip away a regime that's under fire and is starting to question itself and sees an economic peril in front of them. The second thing is, and you're talking about it, is put together a comprehensive plan, both agencies, to help the Iranians resist. And certainly some of that would be armed resistance to groups that are willing to participate in that endeavor. We have successfully done it. These agencies know what they're doing here. Our history here is pretty clear.
So, and what he was talking about there, too, is, some people don't like CIA intelligence orchestrated coups, I guess, military coups. What he's talking about there is kind of what we did in Afghanistan, where we forced the Soviet Union out because we armed the Mujahideen and all of that stuff. Of course, you mention any of that, people are going to be wary because, of course, after the Soviet Union left Afghanistan, it didn't turn into a utopia or anything like that. So there's always the worry of what comes next. I tend to think what we have to focus on right now is using our military assets to force the Strait open, to get to a point where ships feel comfortable going through the Strait. That takes away their biggest point of leverage, and then we make sure to take out any of their nuclear facilities. Even if we can't force some kind of regime change, we can at the very least get them to a point where either, the people rise up and take over the government, or they're just completely unable to do any damage to our military, to our allies, and to the Strait of Hormuz. Now, some, like J.D. Vance, say that's impossible. You can't do that without some kind of deal. I think we could get to a point where we can negotiate their terms of surrender. But it's not going to be easy. It isn't. We've already had casualties. This has gone on a lot longer than Trump initially said. We're using up munitions and everything else. But if you're going to make a decision to strike an enemy like Iran, you either finish the job or you just leave. You strike and then you leave. You kind of mow the lawn. That's what they say about it. We just have to kind of go back every now and then to mow the lawn. That decision needs to be made. And I still think Trump needs to make a big speech on this to the American people. Don't do a speech on elections. That's kind of a distraction. Maybe it was meant to be a distraction. But instead do it on, okay, what is the goal here? Rally the American people behind Iran. If you want to weigh in, you can. We have the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. Right now, I'm going to tell you about my good friends at VIP Care. They are a primary care with a heart for seniors. A couple of reasons you should choose VIP Care if you're 65 years and older, or maybe you have a family member who is. They offer more time with engaged providers helping you do what you enjoy. Data-driven care. It's tailored to you, coordinated care, community-based care, convenient support, and much, much more. Go to getvipcare.com. Getvipcare.com. They don't just treat illnesses and symptoms. They found out what's causing them. Their doctors listen, ask questions, and work with you to create a care plan that fits your needs. So you can make an appointment at the website, getvipcare.com. They have 24/7 support as well in locations across Alabama. Getvipcare.com. When you call them, when you go to the website, getvipcare.com, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. Got What's Trending coming up next, right here on the Yaffee program.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Scrolling with Haley. Join Haley Caronia as she scrolls through the biggest headlines.
If you haven't watched this show before, we do blind reactions. I have not seen these videos, so I am seeing them for the first time with all of you. We're going to implement the tinfoil hat time segments and all the stuff you know and love. And I'm going to finish the show and answer some of your questions. Someone asked me what made you get into podcasting, and I was producing podcasts for other people. Then I was like, I could do this for myself, and here I am.
Scrolling with Haley. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
We are back on the Yaffee program right here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. You can always weigh in on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. You can always listen online as well at WVNN.com or on your iHeartRadio app or any of your smart devices. Bugsy is here right now. Let's do it. We have What's Trending with Bugsy.
Keeping you up to date with all that's trending in your world.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
Do you guys know how to post videos to Facebook?
It's What's Trending.
Sponsored once again, yes, by Coleman Furniture Market, because they always have What's Trending in furniture. And at Coleman Furniture Market, they believe in getting more style for less for you. So they offer a great selection of furniture for your living room, bedroom, dining room, home office, entertainment. They also have mattresses and much, much more. There's a reason why most of the furniture in my house is from Coleman Furniture Market. And also right now they have their Southern Social Sale. You can save on the tax amount. Yeah, the tax amount discount is going on. So whatever that tax amount is, you get that much off of the final price at Coleman Furniture Market. Now you can find out more about the sale at ColemanFurnitureMarket.com. You can go to their showroom. It's huge, by the way, so you'll be there a while. So much to look at. It's in the heart of Coleman, Alabama, or see some of the latest stuff on their Facebook page right now. So like the Coleman Furniture Market Facebook page. When you go, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, Bugsy, what's number 5 today?
Number 5 today, Yaffee, it is Invite an Alien to Live With You Day. Do you have your alien?
I guess I have to ask what kind of alien. Does it specify? Is it a little green?
Little green, gray alien, etc.
I do not. I'll get it. I'll look into that.
I guess it could also be like Alien from Predator versus Alien.
Or E.T., I guess.
Or Yoda. Because Yoda's technically in the same universe as E.T., right? That's
Yes,
part of the lore. So you could pick Yoda as well. I think I want Jar Jar Binks.
It's sad that I know what you're talking about. It's sad. Just so everyone knows, there's a scene in E.T. where he sees someone in a Yoda costume, and it's like E.T. recognizes him. Then there's a scene in one of the prequels where there's a group of E.T.s in the Senate or something. So the lore is that, they're in the same universe. Anyway.
They know each other. Yoda and E.T. know each other.
It's really funny. Anything else going on today?
It's also National Be Someone Day. Are you somebody?
Well, be an alien.
Is it really a someone?
I guess not.
I guess it is kind of alienist.
Alien.
If I say they're not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I guess if I met E.T., I would say he's somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who are you gonna be?
I think I want to be Yaffee today.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. Can you come take care of my kids?
No.
Since you're me. Yeah,
and you've chosen alien. You've chosen to be an alien today.
Yeah, I've chosen to be an alien, and you're gonna come. You're me. You come take care of my kids. I'll go take a nap.
I'm sorry. Today is the day that you became an absent father, Yaffee. You went out for milk
today,
and never came back. Just
day.
today.
Not just today. Anything else?
Okay. Do you want the stupid one or the normal one?
Let's start with normal.
Okay.
first.
It's also National Junk Food Day.
Okay, I guess that's normal.
Yeah, it's also Belgium's Independence Day, but I thought that one was dumb because we hate Belgium now since they beat us in the World Cup. Belgium sucks now.
We don't. It's not even acknowledge that. Why would we even do that? Just eat your junk food, all right?
You just eat your junk food. While you're eating your junk food, though, it's also Take a Monkey to Lunch Day, so you can go take a monkey to lunch and eat your junk food with your alien while you're being somebody.
I was about to say, there's a monkey and an alien there. It's going to be weird. It's going to be an awkward day at work.
It's going to be awesome. What are you talking about?
I don't know what's happening.
A monkey and an alien show up to your work. They show up here in the studio, and you think it's awkward? You wouldn't go shake the monkey's hand and the alien's hand? You wouldn't high-five them?
No, I would not.
I would bring a banana for the monkey.
I would shake their hand. I don't trust the alien, all right?
Yeah, well, he has one of those little buzzers in his hand.
Yeah.
That would be really funny, though.
He traveled millions of light years just to play a practical joke on me.
A human, like one of ours. They say like millions of light years away, you can see dinosaurs or whatever. Maybe where he is, they have advanced telescopes. They can see old comedy routines. People doing those.
Wow, that was
maybe
a deep
they finally got American TV from like the 1950s.
Man, wow, that was a deep cut there. I like that, Bugsy. All right, what's number 4?
Number 4 today, Magic the Gathering. You're familiar with them, right?
Yeah, but contrary to what Dale says, I've never played the game, but I know what it is. Yeah.
So it's a card game for anybody that doesn't know. It I think was technically the first trading card game ever, or at least the first one to become like commercially popular. And they've kind of been in a dip recently of popularity. Pokemon has just they've exceeded them by a lot all of a sudden. Yeah. Have you seen the videos of people trying to like scalp Pokemon stuff?
No.
Yeah, they're buying up all the cards really, really quickly, and they get angry. It's like neckbeard types, people that stay in basements are the ones that are going to buy them and resell them. And then people are just like, I want a pack of cards. I just want one. And the other people buy them all up. But anyways, people are starting to buy the cards before scalpers can, and then they resell them to people like in line, stuff like that. And it makes the scalpers really mad. Or they'll have like a buggy full of stuff, and somebody just goes up and takes something out of their buggy.
That's not nice.
Which one isn't nice?
All of it.
I know, yeah. They're fighting, fire with fire there. But anyways, I guess this is Magic the Gathering's take. They're trying to regain popularity, I guess. And I think it's kind of a Hail Mary because this one is cool, but their past crossovers have not been very cool. They've just been kind of weird. But this one is very neat. It's great news for nerds. There is a Stardew Valley Magic the Gathering crossover coming to their secret lair drop.
Oh my gosh!
Where you can buy special cards, and they look really cute. The little cards themselves, and there's one special one you can get if you pre-order it. There's a limited number of them though. It's so anybody that's ever played the game, Steffi, this is for you. You know how you get Mayor Lewis's underpants, and you have to give them back to him, or you can put them in the soup and make him pull them up. There's a card of his underwear.
Okay.
There's an underwear card.
I have
Magic
no
the
idea
Gathering.
what's happening.
Like who would have thought 20 years ago playing Magic the Gathering and it was like monsters and dragons and everything, and now one of the cards is underwear.
I would not have guessed that. No. No.
See,
I'm a
don't
little
you see how I
disappointed,
think this is
actually.
kind of like a Hail Mary thing?
It totally is.
Yeah, they're not as popular nowadays with kids, so they're like, okay,
Yeah,
we'll try
it'll come back.
harder.
It'll come back though one day. These
Yeah, I
things
think
happen
so.
over.
Yeah, everything goes
Eventually
in a
there'll
cycle.
be a retro fad, and
Yeah, like how
everybody-
Pokemon cards currently are.
Yeah,
They kind of.
exactly.
I sold all my cards at the wrong time. I used to have a bunch. I sold them all when they were worth a little bit, and now they're worth a ton. Yaffee, I'm so upset.
You should be.
I'm so
You should
upset.
be.
I could have
I
scalped.
mean, Pogs will get back into.
I want an elf
thing.
Pog. I need one.
You know. All right. What's number 2?
So number 3, number 2,
Or number th-
yeah, number
are we at
3.
three?
Yaffee,
Sorry.
quit skipping number 3.
My bad.
So this is the update we've all been asking for to Alvin and the Chipmunks, Yaffee. I don't know if you've been following
We've been
this.
asking for that. Okay.
Everybody's been asking for this. So I don't know if
sure,
you've
yeah.
seen, but there's currently a new Alvin and the Chipmunks movie in the works. And they released a bunch of information prior to anything else about the movie. They posted a picture of Alvin in a design that people didn't really like. They also
We're doing
said-
this again, like we do with Sonic. Sorry,
Pretty
go
much.
ahead.
It's going the same direction as that. So they did that. They said that they were going to have a fake social media account for the Chipmunks, and they were going to respond to people and act like they were real like social media superstars or influencers, Yaffee. And
It's not a terrible idea.
you know, I thought that was kind of neat. I thought that was interesting. However, they were intending to use AI for it, and so people got upset.
Oh.
And so now the guy behind it has been like, hey, he suddenly come out and said, hey, that wasn't real. That was never supposed to be his final design. That's not really Alvin. We're not using AI, and they're not going to be
sure.
social media influencers. That was never the plan. So they're doing a Sonic thing, except for instead of
Yes.
that, they're just completely backpedaling and saying, that wasn't it. Yeah, you guys misunderstood. Despite saying all of that, word for word.
Okay, now I want to look this up. I want to know why it looked so bad. Because the last movie came out years ago. It was just kind of 3D animation.
So that is the one I thought was the last movie as well. However, in 2015, they also released a new one, and it looks awful.
Oh, okay.
It is awful. I think the new design is fine. I thought everything else was fine. I don't know why that they're just reacting to everyone else's
Yeah.
negative reaction with, yeah, we didn't do
Who
that.
knows?
You're wrong.
All right. Now we're at number 2, correct?
Now we're at number 2. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So, Yaffee, your favorite singer is Luke Bryan, right?
Yeah.
You're
you
a
didn't
big
know?
fan of country music.
Uh-huh.
So Luke Bryan's new song, it's not really new. It's a Fish Hunt Golf Drink is the name of it. It came out in May. People are just now really hearing it for the first time because it didn't get a lot of airtime, probably for good reason. And country fans are finally seeing it from haters of country, their point of view. Why they hate country.
Okay.
Would you like to hear a clip of the song?
I thought that I was like, this is where this is going. And we're going to hear this? Okay.
So I want to preface it by saying it's like he's trying to cover all the possible topics of country music.
Jeez.
Wake up, coffee, camo, climb tree, wet line, 18 fish hunt, golf drink.
What do you think of that,
Is he just
Yaffee?
saying
He's
words?
just saying words.
Did he just like look around
He's
his
like,
house?
he got all the country buzzwords.
He just like looked around his property and said, there's
Looks
a
at
word.
his cup of coffee. Thinks about what he's going to
Coffee.
do that day.
Newspaper.
He sees his shirt. He's like, camo.
Wow. Yeah, so this is like going viral, I guess, or
Because people don't like it, yeah.
I mean,
They're like, what is this?
AI. We want to talk about AI. This
Sounds
actually,
like
I don't know
AI
if AI
made.
would be that bad. I don't even know if AI
Honestly, yeah.
I think AI would do a better job.
What's funny is I wish I had gotten a clip of it too, but Bo Burnham, do you know him? He did like a Netflix special a few years ago that went like super viral.
Oh, okay.
He also, during his Netflix special, he put a fake country song in it that was essentially that. He was like, this is what country sounds like to non-country listeners. And basically said
I mean, yeah.
the exact same thing.
At first, I was like, isn't this just a normal country song?
It's so normal. But now people who like country are like, oh, this is how it sounds. This is how it sounds.
I mean, even I don't like country, and even I was like, he's just saying words.
Just saying
random order.
country-esque words.
Like, there's no lyrics here. It's just
The rest of the song is basically describing those things, by the way.
It reminds me of that scene in Anchorman where Steve Carell's is like, I love lamp. And they're like, are you just looking at things around the room?
Yeah, Luke Bryan is like, I love Hunt.
Like, what do you do? All right, what's number one?
So really quick, we're running out of time here. Number one, the internet has become obsessed with a little raccoon in Seattle, Yaffee. His name is Jimothy. And he's a little special. He's very small.
I saw the video. I didn't know his name was Jimothy. That's interesting.
So
Sorry.
other people have promoted him to King Jimothy, Saint Jimothy, Seattle's sweet prince, and they're referring to this summer as Hot Jimothy Summer because of him.
Well, you have to describe what he is now.
So he's a little raccoon. I don't know if you've ever seen short spine syndrome in dogs, but it looks a little bit like that. Nobody really knows exactly what he has, but it is some sort of congenital condition that makes him just shorter. He's got a short, little, tiny, stubby tail. I thought he was a monkey when I first saw a video of him.
Yeah, because
thought he was a little monkey.
His back is like, it's not just that he's shorter, his back is like arched.
Yeah. In short spine syndrome, it causes that kind of arch, yeah.
But he's still got really long legs.
Yeah, he does have like awkwardly long legs, but he's so cute. He's a goofy little guy, and that's why they called him Jimothy.
I think this is a mutation that makes it better. I think.
Yeah, this is better. This is what raccoons should be.
Yeah, I think like he's gonna have like raccoon babies, and they're all gonna look like this, and that's gonna be the next. I guess the next step in evolution or something. That's what raccoons will look like.
So because of this, though, Jimothy, it says, has accumulated millions of views, inspired murals, tattoos, merchandise. I do want to buy a little stuffed raccoon that looks like him. Government public service announcements, a city proclamation, and even a surprise appearance at a Seattle Mariners game. So I'm wondering, he was a wild raccoon, so did they just catch him?
That's all.
That is, I think it would be kind of nice if they did and then put him like in a rehabilitation center because he probably can't. He can't really survive very well on his own in the wild, right? I guess that's good for Jimothy.
I don't know. I have to look that up. I didn't know First, I didn't know his name was Jimothy.
Didn't know he was Jimothy.
I didn't know that was a name. First, I've never heard him named Jimothy.
Oh, they also found him on my birthday, so we're twins. Jimothy and I are twins.
That's what. Oh, you sure? Yeah. All right, Bugsy. Thanks. So we'll be back in a moment here on the Yaffee program.
The Yaffee program.
All right, back here on the Yaffee program. Newstalk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Appreciate you joining the show. Shouldn't Jimothy the raccoon show up at our Trash Panda game? Wouldn't that make much more sense?
That would make sense. Do you think
Instead
I
of the
can get
Mariners
him?
game?
Yeah.
I don't know. Does he have an agent? Do they have to like
find out
book?
if I can contact Jimothy's agent. Is he a
You know, to
raccoon?
get
Do you
him
think
on-
his agent is another raccoon?
No, I don't. I assume it's Tom Cruise.
Tom
Is his
Cruise,
agent.
the raccoon's agent.
You know, from Jerry Maguire. That's who his agent is. All right, let's end the show. And some people are like, yes, please end this show. Let's end the show like we usually do. We have the Yaffee program rewind. That time of the show where I remind you if you missed any of it live, well, the podcast will be up on the website, WVNN.com, or anywhere you get your podcasts, including iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the WVNN app. And just so you know, the Rewind is brought to you by the Huntsville Men's Clinic, celebrating their 5-year anniversary. And they're part of a team that's treated Alabama men for ED and low T for almost 15 years. And something's changed this year. They have new options. They've taken care to another level. So I want you to go see what's new today. And it's real treatments based on real science that has worked for over 92% of men who have tried it. It's only $99 for that testosterone and PSA test. You get your numbers in about an hour. So give them a call, 256-368-0333. Or go to the Huntsville Men's Clinic website, huntsvillemensclinic.com, huntsvillemensclinic.com. Make an appointment today. When you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, so most of the show today, we did talk about the latest in Iran. I'm not sure what the end game here is. I think it's basically to force the Strait open. There is some talk that maybe we could force regime change by arming the resistance. Of course, that would take a while. There's also talk about striking or putting boots on the ground in Karg Island. In fact, Tommy Tuberville said instead of destroying Karg Island, we could occupy it with American boots on the ground. But of course, Trump really doesn't want to do that because the war is already not popular. And so you start putting boots on the ground, it's going to get even less popular. And oil prices have gone up, which is not good for the economy. But I do think if we're going to start a war, we need to finish it. So we need to make sure Iran can no longer control the Strait of Hormuz and no longer be able to get a nuclear weapon. So we talked about that at the beginning of the show. The podcast is up. We also have the Alabama bullet points. So we do that every day. If you missed the bullet points, the podcast of that is up. We also talked about the latest attack against ICE. A nut job in New York decided to detonate an incendiary device outside a federal building, an immigration building, actually, in New York. So Tom Homan kind of reacted to that. Skip down to cut 2 of Tom Homan for me, Bugsy.
Well, look, it's just another example of some idiot that believes the left's talking points. I'm sure if you ask him why he did it, he's going to repeat the talking points you hear Democratic members of Congress say, that sanctuary city mayors like Mondami and Governor Hochul say. ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. ICE are fascists. ICE needs to be abolished. I see signs all the day at protests, resist ICE. So look, their talking points are making an impact. For that small percentage of really crazy people, they empower them to do something stupid because they believe the left's talking points. So this is not going to stop. I've said it for over a year.
Yeah.
The hateful rhetoric is going to end in bloodshed, and it has.
Yeah.
More than I thought, and it's not over yet. More will happen unless these people shut their mouth and let ICE enforce the laws that they enacted.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he's exactly right, but it's not going to change. And the radical left and some of the radical right, they believe America is responsible for all the problems in the world. And I keep asking, imagine a world without the U.S. Do you honestly think it would be a better world? All these places that they say, America caused all these problems. They would just be utopias. It would be great places. Now, the Middle East would be just a peaceful, harmonic place. No, nobody thinks that. So we talked about that earlier. The podcast is up. I also gave my review of The Odyssey. I saw it in IMAX yesterday. There are actually people cosplaying for dressing up for the movie, I guess. If you missed the review, the podcast is up. General take, it was good, not great. I think some other Christopher Nolan movies are better. It had some good parts, but also some parts that were kind of frustrating, and it was just too long. I just really thought it needed to be 20 to 30 minutes shorter. You can have a movie that's longer, but if it feels long, it's kind of like The Batman. That movie felt like it was 10 hours long. It was so long. But The Dark Knight's also long, but that's enjoyable. So it just depends on the movie. So we talked about that. We talked a lot about Iran. We have What's Trending as well. If you missed it, the podcast is up. Thanks to Bugsy for producing it today. Thanks to you for listening. The Vince Show is coming up next, and I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. See you then.
It's the Yaffee Program on WVNN.
Jim Rome takes on sports.
Part of what makes this show is the show within the show. The biggest topic on the show always seems to be the show itself. This is a way to give you clones a way to interact with one another. Yes, we will be going through the chat. Yes, it'll be a part of the program. The only thing that could ruin the show are the old school clones spitting up the same bull crap that they always have. The jungle is out taking names and ready to dominate. Let's get it.
The Jim Rome Show podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hey, I'm Chris Van Vliet. Go behind the scenes and beyond the headlines with the biggest names in pro wrestling and beyond.
Mr. Sandman.
All I ever wanted to be was a pro wrestler. So I got to live my life and make people really happy.
The Heartbreak Kid himself, Shawn Michaels.
Do you think there's anybody better than you were?
I think I was great at what I did, and I think other people were great at what they did as well. Greatness is more a mindset, I think, than anything else.
Mindset, motivation, insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.